So I had a request, how could we cover certain cells in the keyguard on a temporary basis? We already have the ability to permanently cover a cell, permanent in the sense that it's a fixed part of the keyguard. So I can cover cell 3 here by just typing a 3 between these brackets in the cover the cell or these cells option. And then that cover is built right into the keyguard. You could theoretically consider a temporary version of this as just having two different keyguards, one with the cell covered or one without the cell covered. But there's an alternative way to do this that is really much more temporary and doesn't involve creating two separate keyguards. So what we're going to do is we're going to just design a plug that fits into any of the cells in the keyguard. The advantage of this is you have one keyguard and you can move the cover for that cell around to other cells relatively easily and quickly. The other advantage is if I build a cover directly into the keyguard itself, so it's printed as part of the keyguard, then I have to, unless I have a very special printer, I pretty much have to use the same color to cover that cell as I would to print the rest of the keyguard. So if the keyguard's printed in yellow, the cover will also be yellow. On the other hand, what I want to do is I want to cover any cell with a different colored cover for the purposes of teaching someone to target a certain cell without actually interacting with the application, and then eventually move them away from targeting that specific cover by color, that specific cell by color. This is the only real way to do that, is to print a piece that fits into that cell and can be of any color you want, any contrasting color, because it's being printed separate from the keyguard. One thing to note is that the dimensions of every cell, the angles of these slopes for the various rails, those depend on how you have configured the keyguard as a whole. So in order to have the cover fit properly, you have to pretty much lay out the entire keyguard that it's going to fit into, at least all the measurement related, all the grid level measurement related properties. Anything that would change the size of the cells, like adding message bars or command bars, adding padding, changing the number of cells, of course. All of those have an impact on how big a particular cell is, changing rail widths, changing the height of a rail if you can control it through preferred height, changing the angle of the slope. All of those will impact whether the cover fits or not. So it's almost most convenient to generate a cover at the same time you're generating the keyguard. Once you've got a keyguard that you like, it's really simple to generate the cover. And it will be a separate STL file that you'll save, and it'll be printed separately from the keyguard. So let's see where that is. It's under the tablet section of properties. And down here, by default, you're generating a keyguard anytime you specify some properties of this thing. But you can choose instead, if you click on this, to generate a cell cover instead. And it will generate a single cell cover that fits into these cells in the keyguard. If I select that, it now generates something that will fit in there. It can be printed nicely. If I'm mounting the keyguard with Velcro, I can additionally say I want to mount the keyguard and this cell cover with Velcro. And it will put a little depressed area in the center of the cover, just like it does in the outer borders of the key guard, and you can control the size of that based on the Velcro info that you provide. You can make it a 5/8 inch square slot for the Velcro to go in. The nice thing about this is that the same method you're using to attach the key guard is the method you use to attach the cover. They're both sitting at about the same level off of the screen because they're both using the same attachment method. Now I have to say that my favorite way to attach these guys, because I'd prefer not to be putting any attachments on the screen itself if I can avoid it. And I found that Velcro, the adhesive on Velcro doesn't stick that great to glass in the first place, is to use instead the no mount method, which just gives me a flat surface here. And to this I attach the suction tape, which attaches very nicely to glass and doesn't require that anything be kept on the surface of the tablet itself. So you'll print this, what you'll do is you'll save this off as an STL file, and then you'll print as many of these as you want in whatever colors you want. You only need to have one. I will point out, however, we'll go back to generating the key guard. If you do something like put this key guard in a case and then use the ability to we see that down in the case section. If you do anything to compensate for tight cases, the key guard cover, the cell cover, is intended to fit in a standard size cell and does not accommodate the fact that you've added additional thickness to the outside cells or the perimeter cells, which you've added additional thickness to the perimeter, and therefore you have shrunken the outside cells. So any key guard cover, cell cover, I'll get that right, that you print for a case like that with these height or width compensations won't fit nicely in any of the perimeter cells. So keep that in mind if you have to use this on very tight cases.